Recording. All right, what's happening, everyone? Since Tammy on the Veer side, and yeah, I'm gonna do something a bit different. It's not like I haven't done this before. I believe, one of them before, a very, very long time ago. I believe it was 2012. Okay, that was my thoughts on a video game. It was I believe I compared DOA 5 and Tekken Tag 2 when they released, and DOA 5 was the first version, without this ridiculous amount of updates and PC ports and PS4 ports and all this, this, that, and the third nonsense. Essentially, a way of Team Ninja and Tecmo saying, "Oh, we're sorry, we can't come up with any more ideas, but you like the game so much, so uh, we'll re-release the game again with a few more characters, um, and some of them, like Marie Rose and Honmoka is like fucking double face palm. Like, really, you're gonna put schoolgirls over there now? That's the original character." Anyways, so few more characters, of a few more moves here and there, and that's about it. That's about it. The story stays the same, and yeah, I believe you had to buy the same game 5 or 6 times, or maybe 3 or 4 times, which is a ridiculous amount. Okay, but I compared the two originals, DOA 5 and Tekken Tag 2, and now I'm gonna put my comments on this game called The Last of Us, because I just recently got my PS4, and by the way, I've been out, like my music, I've been out of gaming for a very long time. In fact, with the music thing, I'm trying to get back to it. I just can't find the time to find a studio in Washington D.C. and pay them set up a recording session. I don't know where to go. I have the music ready. I have the lyrics ready. I just need, because I'm not gonna do it on this microphone. I'm not gonna do it on this microphone or the live cam microphone. No, I'm not gonna take that much of a step back. But yeah, hopefully, maybe by the end of the year or something, I should have something out. Like, if not a studio here, or maybe a studio in Abu Dhabi. Okay. But I'm here to talk about this game called The Last of Us, and just the thing, there might be some spoiler alerts. I mean, I've played maybe 35% of the game, what I can say. 35% of the game from what I can say. And no, I have not played Naughty Dog's other games, the Uncharted series, and fuck Crash Bandicoot. No, fuck Crash Bandicoot, fuck Carmageddon, and fuck Vigilante 8 as well. Okay, and no, I have not played a lot in, I've been out of gaming for a very, very long time. Okay, The Last of Us, what I've seen, that's the game I got free with my PS4. The Last of Us apparently won all these awards there is to win. All these awards there is to win. And a lot of people say it's the game of the generation. The Last of Us is the game of the generation. It touched their lives. It made them cry. Okay, it was so emotionally touching. It changed their lives. Had they been younger, they would have seen this game so differently. It's still real to me, damn it. That's the one clip that comes to mind whenever I hear comments like that. It's still real to me, damn it. Yeah. Okay. Let's take you up on that. No. Let's take you up on that. The Last of Us, by all means, it is the game of this generation. And that is not a good thing. That is a very, very bad sign that a game like The Last of Us is the game of this generation. This tells you something about this generation. This tells you that a lot of people take this generation how it is, for granted, and just are dealing are dealing to live with it, instead of actually having a strong mentality to actually improve a lot of the things. They said, "Oh no, we'll just deal with it," and yes, this is this generation where a lot of people in this generation lack intensity and passion. Believe me, a lot of them do. They think that just being intellect, like, no, a pretend intellectual is enough. Not only intellectual, a pretend intellectual. Because if you have to be an intellectual, you have to show, you have to have a lot of intensity, especially with the competitive nature of this world. You must be more intense and more fierce, more, voracious and more, furious. You know, in towards achieving your goal of of an intellectual peak, of your personal intellectual peak. So pretend intellectuals. Um, okay, yeah. So this is what defines this generation. This Last of Us. Okay, one game of the year, game of the generation. Okay, IGN, who I'm starting to lose a good amount of respect for, especially after they gave Tekken Tag 2 a 7 out of 7.7 and DOA 5 and 8.8 or 8.6 or something. I'm like, DOA 5. DOA 5, 8 point something. Before all the updates. And Tekken Tag 2, which throws everything at you and tells you it's not a story game. It is basically an all-star game. It is not based around story. It is based around the combat. That game got a 7.7 just because one IGN player found it very difficult to actually maneuver his, the sidestep feature in the training mode. Like, oh, that is so difficult. The instructions are right there at the bottom of the screen, but still, it is so difficult to actually, for a novice to pick up that controller, hit that sidestep button, and then read at the same time. Yeah. So I'm starting to lose a lot of respect for IGN. Like, not a lot, a good amount of respect for IGN. They gave this game a 10 out of 10. Okay, and I've seen the review. What they missed out, me, obviously a lot of people know I'm legally blind. I'm visually impaired. I can play. I can see very little, and this is why I don't like FPS games. I don't like Call of Duty. I can't, Call of Duty. I could never enjoy Counter-Strike. I could never enjoy Battlefield. Although, I love the elements in them. I could just never enjoy them. But still, the camera work in The Last of Us is awful, absolutely awful. I'll tell you one very good game that looks something like this, but does the camera work much better. I'll tell you a game, Splinter Cell Conviction. Splinter Cell Conviction does it very well. And given that this is a 20-year veteran in the business, you expect him to actually have a few more moves up his sleeves rather than just basically a hit detection system where if a clicker hits you and you don't have a switchblade on you, you're dead. Okay. On top of that, believe me, a lot of time I want to just throw my controller down. I'm like, fuck it, man. Another water trap, another set of clickers. How many times will you repeat the same wave of enemies over and over and over and over again? The redundancy. There's another problem. I mean, redundancy in games are acceptable if the gameplay allows it to be if the gameplay does not feel as stiff. And here's another problem with the gameplay. Look, this was not there with Splinter Cell Conviction or Splinter Cell Blacklist. And Splinter Cell Blacklist, fuck the ending. The ending fucking sucks. The ending fucking sucks because in that game, the villain needed much more exposition into what he is doing, because I think the villain over there was set up very well, but he needed much more exposition on what he's doing. Like, you think I'm just against you? 13 other countries are against you, mate. Like, no, none of that. But yeah, the gameplay is like it feels very stiff. Um, I mean, I do believe me. I do appreciate wait, I'll get to the enemy AI a bit later. I'll get to the enemy AI a bit later. I'll get to it. Um, I do appreciate the real time thing that you have to heal yourself and create new items and equipment all in real time. But still, like the gameplay itself, it's like it feels stiff. Okay, you want to see how gameplay like this should be done? Like I said, go play Splinter Cell Conviction again. Just see how the enemy detection system works with that bracket arrow showing up in the middle of the screen. Yeah, just see how that works. And like the camera, like most of the time it's really zoomed in, especially when you're like in corners and everything. It really pisses me off. I'm like, I wanna fucking like throw my controller down. Like, fuck this game. Overrated piece of shit. The story. Okay, the development between Ellie and Joel is shown very organically. Is what I'll say. It's shown very organically, but the story, first 15 to 20 minutes once I played this game, let me tell you the few names that came to mind. First, I Am Legend. Second, Resident Evil. Third, Fallout 3. And after the gameplay, 4, a homeless man version. A homeless man's version of Splinter Cell Conviction. A homeless man's version. At least in Splinter Cell Conviction, you could do a lot more. Over here, it seems very unidirectional at times, if you will. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Last of Us is a bad game. It's a very good game. It's an addictive game. That's why I persisted to make it through to 35%. Otherwise, that first water level, that first water part, where you have to first get that raft for Ellie. I wanted to put the controller down right there. I'm like, fuck this game. Fuck this game. Okay, if you want to know how to do good camera work without camera manipulation, go fucking look at the God of War series. In fact, the God of War series is the game of my generation. Games like God of War and God of War 2 are the games of my generation where I was like, just moving into the peak of my youth. And by the way, a lot of people underrate God of War 3. Because what they don't realize is God of War 3 actually sets up a lot of prequels to happen. And those prequels actually put more perspective into God of War 3. And okay, they could have done with more cutscenes, but the amount of content and varied content they put in God of War 3 is fucking phenomenal. Okay, okay, the thing about creating stuff and all that, Fallout, anyone? Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas hardcore mode, anyone? Where your ammo has weight and you can't just run around when you're really heavy, and your stim pack needs time for you to heal. Anyone? Okay, the impact of the story. Are you fucking kidding me, man? This shit made you like I said, the people who cried are usually people who think wrestling is still real to them. Damn it. Fucking. Okay, I'll tell you a story that made almost no sense. A story that made almost no sense, but the presentation alone was fucking fucking like that is the presentation that along with God of War, that is are the games of presentation of my generation. Of a harder, tougher, more legit generation. Metal Gear Solid 4. Look, believe me, I almost started crying. That microwave level, that microwave part when Big Boss has to, that old man has to crawl through that hall of microwaves, and that music playing, and all those cutscenes playing on the top of the screen. Out of this world, man. Out of this world. The voice acting in God of War, God of War 3, the end, when Kratos finally realizes, once his vengeance was completed, what he has done, once his obsession of vengeance was completed, that he has killed the only thing that he could somewhat take as his own daughter, just to kill Zeus. Those those little moments, and the overall storytelling throughout, that is lacking in this game. I'm not saying the story is badly told. The story is very well told, but it does not touch. It does not touch. I'm sorry. I played Fallout 3. I played Fallout New Vegas. I played all the Resident Evils apart from 6. No, the major Resident Evils, ORC does not count. Apart from 6, I played all the major Resident Evils, including Outbreak and Outbreak File 2. Okay, and I played God of War 1, 2, and 3, and I know the story of the other 3 God of Wars. I'm sorry, I've seen a lot of good stories. I've seen a lot of good stories for this to move me. For this to be considered something outstanding. It's good. The presentation is very good. The dialogue feels very organic. It does not feel like people are reading off of a teleprompter. Even mostly the in-game dialogue of the interaction between Joel and Ellie, that feels very, very organic and very, very real. But I'm sorry, that's not enough. That's not enough to actually set a game apart. Set a game and thing. Set a game as game of the generation and all that. No, like I said, games like God of War, games like the Metal Gear series, they set standards for what other games should be like. The Last of Us does not do that. And I'm sorry, I can't comment on Call of Duty. I don't I'm legally blind. I can see very little, very, very little. So although aesthetically, The Last of Us, the graphic design is fucking phenomenal, but it's just it has a lot of problems. And the only time I care about multiplayer is when I play combat games like DOA or Tekken. That's the only time I care about multiplayer. Okay, the AI. IGN said something about creative AI. Huh? Really? Metal Gear Ground Zeroes, anyone? Metal Gear Ground Zeroes came out before Metal Gear Phantom Pain. Metal Gear Ground Zeroes had much better AI than this. So there's another fallacy. There's absolutely another fallacy. And like I said, another problem with this game is it kind of lacks variety. I mean, at least with God of War, you can pull off a lot of combo moves, and it was much more controller friendly to pick up and play. The Last of Us kind of doesn't do that, just because of how stiff it feels. Excuse me. All right, and that's about it. Like, if I were to rate it, I would give it a 9 point, not any higher than 9.25 out of 10. I'm sorry, no. This is not a 10 out of 10 game. Metal Gear Solid 4 gets a 9.8 out of 10. God of War 2 gets a 10 out of 10. God of War 3 gets a 9.8 out of 10 for me. Metal Gear Solid 4 gets a 9.8 out of 10 because, you know, a lot of the story doesn't make sense. But the presentation is fucking phenomenal. People, go watch the ending. Like, after playing all this Metal Gear, you know, including the MSX Metal Gears, go watch the ending. Go watch the ending of Metal Gear 4, and you'll see how phenomenally well it's done. Like apart from the long monologues about explaining the Patriots and how they came to fruition and Zero's battle with the boss and all that. No, just the ones involving cutscenes with Solid Snake, Big Boss, and Zero. Go watch that and see how it should be done. All right, I'm looking forward to constant suggestions. And another thing about this generation, I've seen this comment called "Get a Life," just stop hating, get a life. You were hating on a video game. You have no life. Interestingly, these comments are barely seen when someone likes a video game. So these comments of "get a life" is only expressed towards negative opinions. And that tells you something about this generation. They hate dissension. They hate argument. They hate confrontation. Not viewing confrontation as an opportunity to learn more. They just hate disagreement. They just hate what goes against the grain. And they say "get a life." Yeah, no. I have a life. I have a much more in perspective life than a lot of y'all motherfuckers, man. Alright, I look forward to constant suggestions. Signing out.